Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Chatter Out Loud, a podcast where I share thoughts and TV commentary, starting with one of my favorite shows, Big Brother. In this episode, I'm chatting about Celebrity Big Brother Season 3, Episode 10. And we're down to what they call the Sensational Six. As they get ready to start the theme music, is that called the intro? I don't know. But they're starting the show, they're starting the theme music. And Big Brother always shows like a clip where someone is saying something funny or doing something funny. One of the house guests, they catch one of them, or they replay like something that they've said or done. And tonight they reminded us of how much Lamar struggled with his last vote. And what gets me every time is when Julie said, "Can you hear me, Lamar?" That him taking so long to cast a vote was hilarious to me. Oh my goodness. It was so funny. All right, so they pick up where Shayna said she was going to get the jury to vote against Todrick. That was her last thing said walking out the house. She says, "Don't worry, Todrick, I'll get the jury to vote against you." And you guys, that comment really bothered Todrick. It's still bothering him because well, first of all, you can tell in the demeanor because he talked about it in the episode, but all over the live feeds, he keeps bringing that up. So Shayna knew how to get to him. It was like a last ditch effort for her to get to him. I mean, does she really have influence over the jury? We don't know. And I think I said this before that Todrick doesn't have to worry about anyone influencing the jury to not vote for him. He's doing a good job on his own. Right? But anyway, her making that comment on the way out the house really did bother him. Still bothers him. All right, so Cynthia says that with the way Shayna exited the house, she was more sure than ever that she made the right decision. And I'm kind of feeling for her and Carson once they leave the house and they see all of this. I feel for them because they're gonna see how they got played, you know. One thing I did find very interesting, I noticed how Misha is taking credit for getting Carson to target Shayna and for her surviving her biggest target's HOH, right? So Carson is her target. He's been her target ever since Todrick put that in her head. She was trying to get him out. And now she's taking credit for getting Carson to target Shayna. And in that moment, I was thinking, no, Misha, no. You should thank your buddy Todrick. He did that for you. He made that game move. And it was just something about her thinking, or she said, well, I reacted when she said she knew she was good, but didn't realize she was better than she knew she was good, but then realized she's better than she thought she was. And immediately I see, well, in my mind, I'm seeing her taking credit for that big move in the game, yes. And I think she'll use that in her speech of why she should win. Right? Misha's already starting to write her speech, you guys. That's what I saw when I heard her say that. All right, so Carson said everything worked out like it should, and he said he was sad to see Shayna leave and sad that she betrayed them. He also said, Misha, when he was speaking with Misha in the midst of all of this, right? He said this to Misha: if what you say is true, and I'm sure it is, the audience will see it all. And he's right. We saw it all. We know what happened. You were manipulated by Todrick. And you're going to see it. And I just found it interesting that Carson said, if what you say is true, and I'm sure it is. And that wasn't the first time I heard him say that, because when they were talking through all of this, the plans of getting out Shayna, I've heard him say that a couple of times, and I'm reading into it because I want to believe, or I choose to believe, that deep down Carson knows that something wasn't right. But maybe because of the pressure, or he was doubting himself in terms of how the game is played and all this stuff, or he's trusting his relationship with Todrick outside of the house, right? Thinking that he is trustworthy. I worked with him before, so maybe he is telling me the truth, right? But deep down, I'm choosing to believe that Carson knows something wasn't right, and he's going to see this. And that's why he's probably so ready to leave, you know? All right. So I still wonder how he's going to feel, because he kept saying it. He kept saying Shayna was being shady. When he sees when he sees this, and I'm thinking like he'll see, like watch the episode after they leave, or watch the season after they leave. Who knows if people really do that? But he's gonna find out that they were shady. They, meaning Todrick and Misha, were shady and kind of manipulated them, and they got played. So it's sad, but part of the game, right? All right, Todrick said he never met someone so self-absorbed, and he was referring to Shayna and the way she left the house. And this is one example, or the first example, I should say, of how we know that her comment going out the house messed with his head. Right? She's the most self-absorbed person I've ever met. He says if anyone listened to Shayna in the diary room, they showed a clip. He says if anyone listened to Shayna, in terms of her not voting or getting them. Let me back up. When Shayna left the house, she said, "Don't worry, Todrick, I'm going to get the jury to vote against you." We know that bothered him. And the first example of that bothering him is his comment saying he never met someone so self-absorbed. And then in the diary room a little later, he says, if anyone listened to Shayna, he doesn't want their vote. And I suspect if Todrick happens to make it to the end and he does not win, he'll use Shayna turning the jury against him as why he didn't win. I guarantee it. He'll say she did this and she influenced him, and that'll be the reason why he didn't win. And later he says he thinks he is a competitive force, or something like that, to be reckoned with in the game, and he wants the people to know he didn't come to play, but he came to slay. That was cute. All right. Oh, and clearly the comment that Shayna made going out the house, it did bother him, because he talked about it all over the feeds. I mean, he repeatedly. It's something else. All right. Remember I mentioned at the end of the last episode, Lamar started to confess he was going to vote out Misha. It was during the end when they say, let's peek in on the house guests. And the show was ending, the music was playing, but the cameras were zoomed in on Lamar, and we could still hear them chatting. And he said, I was going to vote you out, or something to that effect. And it did catch Misha's attention. That's what we saw her going out. And then they showed that part in tonight's episode. And clearly that ticked Misha off, because she got up and left and said she was going to leave before she said something stupid. And this is just another, we see this a lot too, right? The closer people get to the end, or if they think they're ruling the game and people aren't doing what they say, and it's kind of jeopardizing their game. The closer they get to the end, they get so upset and so mad. She's storming out. And remember when Carson won, she didn't go up to see his HOH room, right? So, I don't know. Misha talks a lot in terms of integrity and being a competitive beast and all this, competition. And yet, if something doesn't go her way, she pouts. I find that interesting. All right. HOH Club. That was the HOH competition. It was called the HOH Club. They had signature drinks and signature cocktails. There were 7 rounds, I believe. They had to try a drink. They were told what ingredients were in the drink. And they had to guess the extra ingredient, right? The HOH winner, whoever wins the HOH. Yeah, it's that time. Like, if you listen to my episodes, when I start talking like this, I'm tired. So I'm going to start this part over again. All right. Going to the HOH competition. It was called HOH Club. The objective of the competition was for each house guest to try a drink they are told ingredients in the drink with the exception of the one they had to guess. So they had to guess the extra ingredients. There are 7 rounds. They had signature, did I say this? Signature drinks. And the signature drinks were they were named after like the house guests. I didn't get one of them, but maybe I just missed it. Anyway, Carson was the host, and he was a great host. I thought he was fun. Oh, sidebar. I did like Todrick's jacket when he opened up the shoulder part, and it was a pocket purse. I liked it. I mean, I wouldn't buy it and wear it myself, but I did like it. All right. So anyway, Carson was the host of the HOH competition, right? Because he's the outgoing HOH, so they don't compete. So he was serving them the drinks. The first one was called Todrick Collins, right? And that had sauerkraut. In my head, I was like, sour, right? Todrick is sour. No. Oh my God. Okay. So the first one was Todrick Collins. Todd Bridges scored a point because he guessed the extra ingredient. The next one was Sleeper Hold Fashion. And I didn't get that one. Maybe somebody can help me out. Who's that? Oh, maybe that's for Misha because she wrestles. Maybe that's it. Todd Bridges scored, he guessed all the extra ingredients, right? But I'll go through the rest of the drinks. The next one was Lamar Garita. The next one was Toddka Martini. and Carson said, "Oh, this has a nice shade of puce." I don't know. Carson makes me laugh. And it's so cheesy, these drinks. I mean, I enjoy that stuff. And then the next one was Tequila Sunrise, right? For Cynthia. I think that's all the drinks. I feel like I'm missing one, but it's okay. Todd Bridges winds up winning the HOH. After he wins, he was able to launch a special HOH mojito, right? And that was known as the Hohito. Right? Head of household, Hohito. So Todd Bridges, he had to pick 2 house guests for mascots, and he picked Lamar and Todrick. They come back from the commercial, and Carson says he's tipsy because during the competition, he had a passion fruit margarita. Now, I don't know if that was true, but it was funny. All right. They show Misha and Todrick talking, and their plan is to get him meaning Todd Bridges, since he's the HOH. This is when they started to realize, we can get Todd to do the dirty work. And the fact that Todrick talked about how he used the veto, this is part of his strategy. He used the veto on Todd, and now if he needed to, he would have Todd return the favor by not putting him on the block. See, that's a game move. See, if Todrick just stuck with things like that, maybe he would be a little bit more likable, right? Or likable. But that was a good game. That was good strategy. All right. They call Lamar and Todrick into the DR. And like we've seen in past seasons, anytime you have these unitards, they show the person. They show them sitting there, and then they do a whoosh, and then they show them in their leotards. So they should do the before and after. And it was funny. They looked funny. When they came out of the diary room, everybody was laughing and, having fun with it. And Todrick did look like he was having a good time in the beginning. So, and like he said, it's like a rite of passage in terms of the unitard. That's part of the Big Brother game. We look forward to that every year. So this was nice. Everybody was laughing, and it looked like everybody was having a good time. When Carson sipped on Lamar's straw, that made me chuckle. I'm like, oh my goodness. That was really funny. Let's see, if Carson really does go this week, we're going to miss him, right? He adds a lot to the show, I think. And he may not have made the right decision with Shayna. I mean, we were all like yelling at our TVs, no, 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 Carson, no, right? And I blame Cynthia. Carson trusts her so much. And once Todrick manipulated Cynthia, it was all over because Carson really trusts Cynthia, right? He trusts her word. And why wouldn't he? They're playing the game together. You know, it is what it is, I guess. All right. But if Carson does go, it's not going to be the same. But we still have Lamar, right? He gives us life, right? Yeah. All right, so back to the unitards. They have to wear them for 24 hours, and then the DR Lamar was like, "Let's get the clock ticking." So they're tethered together, have to walk around the house together, go everywhere together, to the bathroom, sleeping, and all of that. And they showed where Lamar passed gas, and Todrick had to. Because Lamar was like leading, so he was walking and he passed gas, and then Todrick, because they're tethered together, walked right into it. And Lamar told him, just close your mouth and keep walking. Oh, he just reminds me of like my cousins and my brother. Like he cracks me up. I love it. All right. Why do I feel, does anyone else feel this way? But I feel like Todd Bridges showing his HOH room, that was the first one they aired on the season. Why do I feel like this is the first time I'm seeing that? Like the reading of the letter and stuff. I don't remember anyone else. I don't remember them airing that. Do you? Am I wrong about that? You have to let me know. But they're in the HOH room. Todd gets emotional reading his letter, or starting to read his letter. So Todrick took the letter and read it for him. And it was very nice. I liked how Lamar dapped Todd. It's like a form of support. So I like seeing that. And they actually get along, Todd Bridges and Lamar. They've had a lot of conversations on the live feeds, a lot of support. They have similar experiences, some things they've gone through. And I just like how Todd is like offering support to Lamar. He gave him a little bit of advice. They banter between them. It's hilarious. But it was just a nice moment to see him supporting him like that. So that was cool. All right, so Todd Bridges, he feels Carson is the biggest threat in the game, and that's his target for the week. And he was talking through scenarios and who would he put up next to Carson, right? So Todrick tried to get him to put up Cynthia. He even threw Lamar's name out there. They were all in the bathroom talking through, like, who could we put up and stuff like that. And remember, Todd Bridges feels like Misha, Lamar, and Todrick, and himself, Todd Bridges, he feels like his view is that they're all playing together. I find that very interesting. But anyway, so Todrick tried to get him to put up Cynthia, and then he quickly threw out Lamar's name, because Todrick talks, and when he starts to talk, and sometimes he talks fast, and next thing you know, we hear Lamar's name, and they panned on Lamar's face so fast. Like, you didn't even know it hit him, right? It was just so fast. Todrick is very skilled with this. That's what I want to say. He's very skilled. He talks a lot and he talks quick. But he threw Lamar's name in there real quick. And again, that's game, right? The power of manipulation. And he's good at that. We don't like it, but I thought his fast talking in that bathroom to Todd was a good game, because as soon as he threw Lamar's name out there, he's like, yeah, he can go up there. And I'm like, oh, that was nice. That was a nice move, Todrick. Because that move benefits both him and Misha, right? Either one of them. All right. Anyway, so Todd, Lamar, and Todrick are in the bathroom. Misha walks in and Todd says, here's what we are thinking. And Lamar quickly corrects Todd and says, no, here's what y'all thinking. I just thought that was funny. And that's why I was trying to make a point that in Todd Bridges' mind, he thinks that the four of them are playing together. Lamar is like, I'm playing my own game. And Misha, she's not sure about Lamar, so it's just like it's a crack there. So we'll see how that plays out the closer we get to the end of the game. All right, so Misha's giving Todd advice on how to approach Carson and Cynthia in terms of telling them that he's going to nominate Carson. She advised don't do it together and stuff like that. So Todd goes to tell Carson first, with the additional piece of information that if he wins, meaning if a Carson wins the veto and he uses it, Todd says, I'm going to have to put Cynthia up. And that's just a threat just to make him keep the nominations the same. And I believe that if Carson wins the veto, he would keep them the same because he's ready to leave, I think. Afterwards, Todd then approaches Cynthia and he says that he's not putting her up. And she's surprised because of their history in the house, and then they showed the flashback to that big fight. All right, Carson and Cynthia talk, and for the first time, I saw Cynthia talk good game. I was a little surprised, but I'm like, yeah, she does know, or she's learning, right? She says, Carson, this is not so bad because if she won the veto, she can pull him down, and they're both safe. And I said, good for them. They got it. They got it. And I was happy that they figured that out. So that was nice to see. All right, moving on to the nomination ceremony. I wonder how many times they have to practice the speech, right? And then again, like Todd Bridges, he's an actor, so maybe it didn't take him a long time. But I often wonder that. So Todd Bridges, he's the HOH. He nominates Carson and Lamar. And the reasons he gave were... For Carson, he thought Carson was a really good at playing the game, and he's friends with everyone in the house. That's true. Well, I don't know about really good at playing the game, but he's perceived to be really good at playing the game, and he's friends with everyone. And that alone is a threat, right? Because if he's at the end, if everyone likes you. And then Lamar, the reason he gave for Lamar, he gave a sports analogy about the fourth quarter and not allowing him to take that winning shot. Okay. The closing diary room sessions, Todd Bridges says he is here to play. They thought he was here sleeping throughout the game, but he's here to play. Carson, he loves his BB picture. And he said that a lot over the live feeds, because when they flashed to it during the nomination ceremony, they said Todd said the first person I choose to nominate is, and he showed Carson's picture, and Carson always says that's a great shot. I love Carson. All right. But anyway, in his diary room session, the closing diary room sessions of the closing episode. Yeah, I think I said that right. But anyway, he says it's not the end of him and Cynthia. So that was fun. Lamar says he's not out yet. He said the one thing about L.O, he does not lose. And he says the house guests haven't seen him with a fire lit in his belly, and he is going for that veto. Todrick reminds us that Todd Bridges is doing he and Misha's dirty work by putting up their number one target. And they're going to try their hardest to keep the nominations the same. And Cynthia is planning to give everything she has and win that power veto and save Carson. And you guys, she meant it. I loved it. All right, a few observations that I've made. Let's see. Todrick pouted through the HOH competition. He didn't even try the last drink, right? And in my next live feed updates, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in terms of that competition in Todrick. But nevertheless, we all saw him pout, and he didn't try the last drink because he just didn't like it. All right, Carson and Cynthia were worried right after Todd Bridges won. That was an observation I made. All right. Misha realizes by Todd Bridges winning HOH that he could do her dirty work basically without her getting any blood on her hands. And she's right because her target is on the block, right? Prior to the nominations, this was prior to the nominations. These are observations. So these things already happened. I probably talked through it as I went through the recap. But Cynthia says she would bet the farm, the horses, and all of the pigs that she and Carson will be on the block together. Oh, okay. All right, so I'm catching up on the live feeds, and I'll work to put another video out. Another live feeds video, and it's going to have spoilers. So if you don't like spoilers, just wait until after the next episode airs. I'm getting a good response with the live feed updates. I don't know if I accidentally just landed in the right algorithm this week on YouTube, but I'm getting I'm getting a good response. So I'm going to try to work hard and keep that up. All right, on the next episode, we're going to see the Power Veto competition play out. We'll see who wins and whether or not that changes the game. Who are you rooting for to win the Power Veto? Let me know in a comment. So, in summary, Todd is the HOH. He nominated Carson and Lamar. Todrick and Misha are happy because it's an opportunity for them to get out their number one target and not have any blood on their hands. Cynthia is going to fight hard for the veto. And as we learned from the DR session, L.O does not lose. And you guys, I felt Lamar when he said that. And I took him seriously. I really did. Even as he sat there as a Hojito, I believed Lamar. Right? All right, you guys, that's all I have. So be sure to come back and give me a listen. Like, follow, share, subscribe. You can leave me a comment, leave me a message. And if you're listening to the podcast, there's a link to leave me a message right there on that landing page. So check that out. You can find me by looking for Chatter Out Loud. I have this podcast. I tweet. I'm on YouTube. So look for Chatter Out Loud and you'll find me. All right. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to all subscribers, actually. Thank you very much. I'm getting a lot of, what are they? Well, I can't remember the analytics, what that term is, but I'm getting a lot of views. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right. So my name is Danielle and you're listening to my podcast, Chatter Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I appreciate your support. And that's all I have. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.